As soon as the demon pits his undead against Alan, he cuts the threads that bind the zombies to the control of the village leader. Then, with the 2-in-1 charge, he cuts down any and all adversaries in front of him and then collects the blue stone that the old man dropped. With that, the demon serving the ducal family of Westfeld is forced to report another failure on his part, and Brett finds it absurd. His father rebukes him and comments that letting a little girl escape won't hinder the plans. Brett agrees because, unlike the demon, he did his part and brought the archbishop's head. The next day, as Lee seems shaken, Beatrice makes it clear that she will always be by her side. Observing the blue stone, Alan identifies his brother Brett's power in it. Curiously, the only part that still belonged to Alfred was the head, and the head of the murdered general disappeared. Connecting the dots, Alan discovers what's behind it. Suddenly, Lees receives the message that General Searle has returned, and soon the three are surprised by the news. In the next scene, reminiscing about his childhood, Brett followed the funeral of who, according to him, was the kindest woman to ever set foot in this world. On that day, all he could feel was fear in the face of such an apathetic scene. Ever since then, upon returning to normal life, which always has to go on, all his father felt for him was disdain and pity every day. In the corridors of the Westfeld Duchy mansion, Brett heard the maid's comments always praising his brother Alan while he felt sidelined. Unconsciously or not, the boy began to vent his hatred for the world on his brother, who never treated him with contempt, projecting his father's figure onto him, who saw Brett as a failure. Soon Brett wakes up from this nightmare and goes to greet Cray, the Lord of Westfeld, who, despite acknowledging his youngest son's greeting, only has eyes for his revenge plan against this kingdom and the gods. Under the resentful gaze of Brett, who believes himself to be the only one worthy of wearing the crown. Meanwhile, through the streets and places around the kingdom of Adostella, the rumor of General Sella's return, who supposedly was dead, spreads through the mouths and ears of the population far and wide. According to Clark, vice captain of the 1st Squadron of Knights, rumors spread like any gossip should, but it seems like this one is spreading too fast. Faced with this, he would like to know from Captain Edward if he thinks it's really Searle who's back or just some kind of imposter. The captain believes that whatever it is, it doesn't change what the 1st Squadron must do, which is to prevent those who wish to harm the kingdom. In Edward's opinion, that's exactly what the general would do, and it's up to them to uphold the will of the man who dedicated his life to protecting this kingdom. Arriving at an alley in the city, the two officers are surprised by a figure hidden by a cloak, but who soon reveals himself to be the Archbishop. Captain Edward questions what this man is doing in such a place without an escort, so he replies that he would like to share information alone with the captain elsewhere. Clark warns the man not to go, but Edward needs to prioritize gathering information in this delicate moment, so he leaves his subordinate responsible for protecting the kingdom and goes away.